Hi everyone, and welcome to Formula One First. Today, we're going to be talking about the 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix results. Did you see the 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix? If not, you missed out on one of the most exciting races of the season. The 2023 Azerbaijan Grand Prix was held at the Baku City Circuit on April 30th, 2023. It was the fourth round of the 2023 Formula One World Championship. This was a very exciting race, with a lot of drama and unexpected twists and turns. So without further ado, let's get started. The teams regrouped and debriefed after the action-packed standalone sprint on Saturday. They were eager to get ready for the main event on Sunday, which would be a 51-lap race using the grid that had been set during Friday evening's qualifying session. Charles Leclerc had taken pole position, followed by Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. We witnessed two drivers missing from the grid, Esteban Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg. This happened because their respective teams, Alpine and Haas, made suspension setup changes under park firm conditions. This breach of regulations forced both drivers to start from the pit lane, leaving them with a tough challenge ahead. For those of you who are new to the sport, park firm is a set of conditions that restrict teams from making any significant changes to the car setup after qualifying. The idea behind this is to maintain a level playing field and prevent teams from gaining an unfair advantage over their rivals. However, in this case, the teams made an error in judgment, which resulted in the drivers missing the grid. Most drivers opted for medium tires for the opening stance, while three drivers, De Vrij, Ocon and Hülkenberg, went for a different approach and chose the hard compound. The reason behind this was the high degradation levels of the soft rubber, which was a cause of concern for many teams. The start of the race was nothing short of exciting, with pole sitter Charles Leclerc maintaining his lead into turn 1. The Red Bull duo of Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez followed closely behind in second and third positions, with Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso trailing not far behind. Unfortunately, further down the field, there was some chaos at turn 2, which resulted in a bottleneck situation. Oscar Piastri, who was already battling food poisoning this weekend, found himself caught in between an Albon and Bottas sandwich. This incident caused him significant delay, and he was not the only one affected. Kevin Magnussen also had to endure a delay at the exit of turn 2, making it a challenging start for these drivers. As the race progressed, Verstappen continued to hug the rear of Leclerc's car, hoping to get a run down the lengthy main straight. However, Leclerc was smart and patient, waiting for the DRS to be activated at the start of the third lap before making a move. Verstappen saw his opportunity and breezed past Leclerc across the start straight, taking the lead in the race. But Perez was not far behind and immediately latched onto the back of Leclerc's Ferrari, threatening to make a similar move in the next lap. The race for the podium was heating up, with Sergio Perez determined to make his move and get ahead of Charles Leclerc. It took another lap before he could activate the DRS and make his move. He hit the DRS button, pulled to the inside on the run to turn 1 and forced his way past at the apex, leaving just enough space to avoid any wheel-to-wheel contact. At this point, Max Verstappen was in the lead, with Perez trailing by almost 1.5 seconds. Leclerc and Sainz were closely following each other in the 2x2 squad formation, with Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll not far behind. Interestingly, Stroll had vowed not to attack his teammate and was content to continue benefiting from the DRS. Suddenly, on lap 11, De Vrij crashed into the wall at turn 5, causing a yellow flag situation. Verstappen seized the opportunity to pit and switch from mediums to hards. The safety car was then deployed to cover the stranded AlphaTauri, and Perez was able to make his stop a lap later under the caution and emerge as the new leader of the race. After the pit stops and safety car period, Perez maintained his lead ahead of Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Alonso, Russell, Stroll, Ocon, Hülkenberg and Hamilton, who lost out due to his earlier stop. As the cars followed the safety car driven by Bernd Maylander, replays revealed a scuffle between Russell and Stroll at the pit lane entrance, with Russell taking advantage of his slower rival who had been preparing for a double pit stop at the Aston Martin garage. The safety car returned to the pits at the end of the lap 13, and Perez made a brilliant restart to pull away from the pack. Verstappen then made his move on Leclerc for second place on the way to turn 3, with Alonso overtaking Sainz at turn 4 with a smart move. Amid the ongoing drama, Russell continued to struggle and lost ground to both Stroll and Hamilton in consecutive laps. He was quick to apologize to the Mercedes team on the radio for his poor driving, stating, quote, "That was a terrible restart, I'm sorry guys." Perez, on the other hand, had found his rhythm and was cruising comfortably at the front. However, there was a moment of concern when the stewards flagged the potential unsafe release from the pit lane. Fortunately, no further action was deemed necessary, and the Mexican could focus on the race ahead. Meanwhile, Stroll had a close call with the wall at turn 5, almost mirroring De Vroij's earlier crash. However, he managed to avoid major damage and kept going, with Hamilton closing in and putting on the pressure. The stewards gave Perez and Red Bull a clean bill of health after investigating a potential unsafe release, while a separate incident involving Russell and Stroll underbraking for the pit lane entry was also quickly dismissed by the stewards, with the Aston Martin struggling to keep pace with the Mercedes-powered cars. Despite a few close calls, including brushes with the wall at turn 15, the middle part of the race was relatively uneventful. As lap 30 arrived, Verstappen informed his team that the balance between the differential and engine braking was not optimal. Despite the slight difficulty, he still managed to stay close to Perez, but it became too close when he grazed the barrier at turn 15. Bottas, who had already struggled in the sprint, stopped for fresh tires on lap 36, putting him at the back of the pack and nearly a lap behind Perez. Zhou, driving for Alfa Romeo, retired soon after. In the final stages of the race, attention was drawn to Sainz and Hamilton, who were both pushing hard. Hamilton was within DRS range and attempted multiple overtakes, but couldn't get close enough to overtake. Norris eventually made his way into the points by passing Hülkenberg at the exit of the turn 5-6 chicane, with the German's tires appearing worn ahead of his required change to mediums. Ocon's stop on the final lap allowed Norris to move up to the 9th place. Perez successfully avoided crashing into the barrier at turn 15 and claimed a dominant victory, while Verstappen finished just over 2 seconds behind, losing his lead in the championship by 6 points. Leclerc struggled towards the end of the race, and Alonso's pace picked up, but neither were able to change the podium order. Sainz, Hamilton, Stroll, and Russell also secured points for their respective teams, with Russell earning an extra point for the fastest lap. Tsunoda and Norris rounded out the top 10 finishers, with Hülkenberg falling back to 17th place, and Ocon dropping to 15th after a late pit stop. Piastri, Albon, Magnussen, and Gasly each gained a position due to Ocon's pit stop, while Sargent finished in the 16th place on the lead lap. Ahead of Hülkenberg, a left Bottas and the 2 drivers who retired during the race, Zhou and De Vroij. After a month-long break, F1 made its comeback with consecutive races, and now the teams are heading straight to the United States for the highly anticipated Miami Grand Prix from May 5th to May 7th. Keep up with us for the latest and most thrilling updates from the world of Formula One. Thanks for watching.